Hey, how you doing? Today we're going to talk about different types of paddle boards. I have 4 different types of boards here. I'm going to explain the purposes and differences of each. I'm also going to explain what the parts of the boards are, so we're on the same page when I use different terminology. So I'll start with the parts of the board first. So the front of board of a paddle board is going to be called the nose. So on all of these boards, these are the different noses of each, and the noses vary. This is a surf style board here, as is the inflatable next to it. Both have a rounded nose on it that gives it more stability, but it's also a little slower in the water. So there's more surface area, whereas these other 2 boards have what's called a displacement nose, and that they have a pointy nose to it. And that nose wants to more efficiently cut through the water, but as a result can be less stable because it has less surface area. So there's compromises and benefits of each. The deck is the top of the board. The deck, the handle is the middle of the board. This board has a ledge handle where my hand goes inside. It's a very comfortable handle to carry. The inflatable has these sort of kind of usually glued in cloth handles that are also very comfortable. The downwind board also has a ledge handle, and then the touring board, the wood board, has a long strap handle, which is actually great if you have gear in the board in different, the front or back. The balance can be off for carrying, so you can adjust your hand as needed to get a better balance for a carry. This board has leash plugs in the front. Leash plugs are normally in the back that the leash attaches to, but in this case it allows me to put down a bag or bungees to store gear. Instead of a leash plug on an inflatable, everything on an inflatable has to be glued on. So these are D-rings, these metal rings here, which allow you to attach, again, a bungee like this one has, or a deck bag, a kayaking style deck bag. The downwind board is more of a performance board. It's not really designed to have gear on it, so it doesn't have anything like that. The wood board is hollow, and it has internal storage like a sea kayak, and that's, instead of carrying things on top, you put things inside the waterproof hatch. This is a traction pad, the rubber pad here and here, 2 different types here. The purpose of the traction pad is when you stand on the board, you're not standing on a hard surface like this, so it's better on your feet. And unlike a surfboard, you don't have to wax it. It allows traction so you don't slip around much. This one and the downwind board have a diamond plate texture to it, and that's, in my opinion, the best texture for grip. On the other hand, if you want to do yoga or something like that, a flat surface like that is going to be better on your knees if you're not wearing a wetsuit or some sort of pant legging. So that's just going to be more comfortable, but not as much grip if you need a more of a performance grip. This board here has a sailboard attachment to it, so I can put a mast in here and go board sailing. The vent plug here in the back, which this board here has there in front of the handle, is on a hot day like today. It's currently 80 degrees out. If I store this board inside my garage, it's potential that the foam inside this board will bloat or want to expand from the pressure of the heat. In that case, I'll unscrew this with a screwdriver and allow that pressure to come out. The wood board gets that as well, and it also has a plug that releases that air out. And if you don't release that air out, your board can bloat and you can actually ruin the board. So you want to unscrew it for storage, but when you get back in the water, you want to screw this back in, or else you're going to have a pretty bad leak. The other parts of the board are the rails. These are the rails here, the sides of the boards. A fiberglass board like this is going to have a rail like this that has a little bit more of a shape to it. Inflatable is going to have a more of a vertical rail, as is these touring or downwind boards going to have a more vertical rail. And the difference is this type of rail is allowed for if I wanted to take it surfing and do a lot of fancy tricks, it's going to allow me to give me more performance. Whereas these vertical rails are designed to go straight. They're not really, you can do performance on those boards, but they're really designed to do more straight, which makes it faster. So there's a lot of surf style boards that are really high performance for surfing, specifically for paddleboarding, have a more what's called an aggressive rail, and that this shape will be more adverse shapes and whatnot. So differences of things there. Moving to the back. The leash plug is in the back. This is where the leash attaches to. We always wear a leash when we paddle so we don't get separated from the board when we fall off. You usually will have to add the string. There's a metal pin in here that the string attaches to, and your leash will attach to that string. On inflatable, usually you have a handle you can attach your leash to, and or one of these D-rings here will work as well. So either one or the other is important for that. On the inflatable, I have a valve here in the back. That's where I blow the board up with, like that. And my valve, my either air compressor or hand pump will plug into here. You hear the air come out on that. And you have a cover on here that protects that valve. We will do a module specifically on inflatables, so I'll talk more about inflatables a little bit later. On this board, I have a 2-string attachment here. When I'm in really big water offshore, I don't want this string to break, so I have 2 strings for extra safety. Same on this one here with 2 strings here. So that's, and then the backs of the board, what is called a tail. Instead of a stern in a kayak or a board or a boat, we have the tail here in the back. So different types of tails. This tail here on this fiberglass board is a square tail, and that's going to give me a lot of surface area for stability. This tail here is a rounded tail. I still get stability, but it's going to make it a little faster. And on this tail, which you can't see as well, it's called a pintail. It's a V-shaped tail. That's the fastest through the water, the most efficient. Water wants to come right off of it, but as a result, with less surface area, it's less stable. This is a smaller square tail as well. And then other parts of the board, I'll flip over one of these here. For an inflatable. The beauty of an inflatable is I can just drop it like this and not worry about it, which I wouldn't want to do that on the fiberglass board. This inflatable has a D-ring in the front. Sometimes they do that to hide the valve, the blow valve on the front. This one has a valve on the back. So in this case, it's an option to tie your board down to the front of the car to make it more stable. And or if you need to rescue someone, you can attach a tow point to that D-ring up there. And then we have on this type of inflatable, we have fins in the back that are glued in, and that makes it easier. We don't have to worry about finding your fins and sticking your fins in there and making sure you have screws. They're already there. These are plastic, which is great for rivers or beating things up or hitting rocks. And this is called a thruster system, and that's a 3-fin setup. So that's designed originally for surfing, going down a steep wave and driving more speed and giving yourself traction down the wave face. And so these would be called fin boxes. On the fiberglass board here, pull it up closer so you can see it. The bottom of these boards is called the hull or the bottom. This one here has a single fin box versus a thruster system. So my fin will go in the fin box either through a quick release system or a screw mechanism, which I'll show in a later module. You can see the differences of the boards here. Another big difference. Number one, I got my sticker on here, so if I lose the board, if it gets stolen, I have a chance of finding it. You don't have a sticker probably, so use a permanent pin to write your name and your phone number and all your gear. This board has rocker, which means the board is thick in the middle and a little thinner on the end down there. That allows the board to turn easy through the water, but at the same time it's harder to go straight. It's also called foil, is another term for rocker. Whereas on the inflatable, it doesn't have that at all. Most inflatables are the same thickness from front to back. So it turns up at the nose, but it's still the same. This is 4 inches thick. Some inflatables are also 6 inches thick. Actually, that's more common. So that's going to be 4 inches thick from end to end on this. So that means it's because the nose comes up, it's going to allow you to turn. But beyond that, it's a little hard to turn as a result. And sometimes harder to climb back on. If you look at the touring board here, I have a vertical rail here. It has what's called a nose rocker. It is the same thickness from front to back, but the nose will rise up a little bit, which allows me to surf down waves a little bit more efficiently and not drag water as much. This is a 16-foot board, so as a result, it's a little harder to turn. It wants to go straight. And this is a downwind board, which is designed to go down waves being pushed by high wind or surf. The nose of this board has a raised section, so same as this one here. So when water comes down, it's supposed to shed that water off, so it doesn't end up on your deck. Also, of all these types of boards, these two are called surf style or all-rounder boards. It's the most common board you're going to find out there. This is the downwinder board, designed again to surf in high wind conditions. I use it for surfing. It can be used for racing, but it's designed, it's not as fast as some race boards might be. And this is a touring board, but I also do light surfing on it. I race it, and I use it for casual touring as well.